This video contains audio content only. There are no visual elements or images accompanying the audio. If you're expecting to see video footage, please note that this is an intentional audio-only presentation. We recommend listening to this content rather than watching the screen. Thank you for your understanding and enjoy the audio. Welcome, everyone, to our deep dive into the fascinating world of potato domestication and its impact on human history and culture. Today, we'll be exploring recent scientific research that sheds light on the origins, evolution, and global significance of this humble yet incredibly important crop. The potato is more than just a staple food. It's a testament to human ingenuity and adaptation. From its origins in the Andean highlands to its status as the world's fourth most important food crop, the story of the potato is intertwined with the story of human civilization itself. In this video, we'll be examining several key themes related to potato domestication, including its genetic history, cultural significance, global spread, and modern breeding efforts. We'll also look at how potato research intersects with critical issues like food security and biodiversity conservation. Whether you're a scientist, a student, or simply someone curious about the foods we eat, this exploration of potato research will offer valuable insights into the complex relationship between humans and our cultivated plants. By the end of this video, you'll have a new appreciation for the humble spud and the wealth of scientific knowledge surrounding it. So let's dig in and unearth the fascinating story that recent research has revealed about potato domestication. 1. Origin and early history of potato domestication. Our journey begins in the Andean highlands of South America, where the potato was first domesticated thousands of years ago. Recent research has provided fascinating insights into the early history of this important crop. The domestication of potatoes is believed to have occurred between 8,000 and 10,000 years ago in the region around Lake Titicaca, which straddles the border between present-day Peru and Bolivia. This area, characterized by its high altitude and challenging growing conditions, was the birthplace of one of the world's most important food crops. The wild ancestors of our modern potatoes were small, bitter tubers that contained toxic compounds called glycol colloids. These wild potatoes were part of a diverse group of plants known as the Solanum brevicol complex, which includes about 20 wild species distributed from central Peru to northern Argentina. Early Andean farmers faced significant challenges in transforming these wild plants into a reliable food source. The process of domestication involved selecting for traits such as larger tuber size, reduced bitterness, and lower toxin levels. This was no small feat, considering the natural defenses that wild potatoes had evolved to protect themselves from pests and predators. One fascinating aspect of early potato domestication was the development of techniques to make wild potatoes edible. Archaeological evidence suggests that ancient Andean people used clay to neutralize the toxic compounds in wild potatoes. This practice, still observed in some traditional communities today, involves consuming potatoes with a gravy made of clay and water. The toxins bind to the clay particles, allowing them to pass through the digestive system without causing harm. As domestication progressed, early farmers developed an impressive diversity of potato varieties adapted to different altitudes and growing conditions. This process of adaptation and selection gave rise to thousands of potato land races, traditional varieties that were cultivated and maintained by indigenous communities. The domestication of potatoes had profound impacts on Andean societies. It allowed for population growth and the development of complex civilizations in areas where other crops struggled to grow. The potato became a cornerstone of Andean cuisine and culture, with different varieties being used for specific culinary and ceremonial purposes. One particularly interesting development was the creation of chuño, a freeze-dried potato product that could be stored for years without refrigeration. This innovation, developed by pre-Columbian Andean cultures, allowed for long-term food storage and helped sustain large populations in the challenging high-altitude environment. Recent archaeological findings have provided tangible evidence of early potato use in the Andes. For example, potato starch grains have been found on grinding stones dating back to around 3400 BC in southern Peru. These discoveries help researchers piece together the timeline of potato domestication and its spread throughout the region. The story of potato domestication is not just about the plant itself, but also about the ingenuity and adaptability of the people who cultivated it. It's a testament to human creativity in the face of environmental challenges and the profound impact that a single crop can have on the development of civilizations. As we move forward in our exploration of potato research, we'll see how this early history of domestication laid the foundation for the global significance of potatoes today. The genetic diversity created through thousands of years of cultivation in the Andes would prove to be an invaluable resource for modern potato breeding and agriculture. 2. Genetic diversity and evolution of cultivated potatoes. The genetic story of potato domestication is a fascinating tale of diversity, adaptation, and human influence. Recent research in genetics and genomics has shed new light on the evolutionary history of cultivated potatoes and the incredible diversity that exists within this crop. One of the most striking aspects of potato genetics is the sheer number of varieties that exist. While most of us are familiar with only a handful of potato types found in grocery stores, there are actually thousands of varieties cultivated around the world. In the Andean region alone, farmers maintain an astonishing diversity of potato land races, each with unique characteristics adapted to specific environmental conditions. This diversity is reflected at the genetic level. Studies have shown that cultivated potatoes harbor a wealth of genetic variation, much of which originated from their wild relatives. This genetic diversity is a valuable resource for potato breeders, providing a pool of traits that can be used to develop new varieties with improved characteristics such as disease resistance, drought tolerance, or enhanced nutritional content. One interesting aspect of potato genetics is the complexity of its genome. Most cultivated potatoes are tetraploid, meaning they have 4 sets of chromosomes instead of the 2 sets found in many other plants. This tetraploidy adds a layer of complexity to potato genetics and breeding, but it also contributes to the crop's adaptability and vigor. Recent genomic studies have provided insights into the origins of cultivated potatoes. By analyzing DNA from a wide range of potato varieties and wild relatives, researchers have been able to trace the evolutionary history of this crop. These studies have confirmed that cultivated potatoes originated from wild species in the Andes, but they've also revealed a more complex story of domestication than was previously understood. For example, research has shown that different potato species were likely domesticated independently in different parts of the Andes. Some studies suggest that there may have been at least 2 separate domestication events, one in the southern Andes and another in the north. This multiple origin hypothesis helps explain some of the genetic and morphological diversity observed in cultivated potatoes. Another interesting finding from genetic research is the evidence of gene flow between cultivated potatoes and their wild relatives. This ongoing exchange of genetic material has likely contributed to the adaptability of potato land races and may have played a role in the crop's ability to thrive in diverse environments. The story of potato evolution doesn't end with domestication. As potatoes spread beyond their Andean homeland, they continued to evolve and adapt to new environments. For instance, the potatoes that were first introduced to Europe were adapted to the short day conditions of the equatorial Andes. It took further selection and breeding to develop varieties that could tuberize under the long summer days of higher latitudes. One particularly interesting chapter in potato evolution is the origin of the modern cultivated potato, Solanum tuberosum. Genetic studies have revealed that this species likely originated in southern Chile, rather than in the central Andes where potatoes were first domesticated. These Chilean potatoes were better adapted to long day conditions and formed the genetic basis for many of the potato varieties cultivated around the world today. The genetic diversity of potatoes continues to be a subject of intense research interest. Scientists are using advanced genomic tools to unravel the genetic basis of important traits in potatoes, such as tuber formation, disease resistance, and nutritional content. This research not only helps us understand the evolutionary history of potatoes but also provides valuable information for breeding programs aimed at developing improved varieties. One area of particular interest is the study of wild potato relatives. These plants, which are still found growing in their native habitats in South America, represent a vast reservoir of genetic diversity. Many of these wild species possess traits that could be valuable for improving cultivated potatoes, such as resistance to diseases or tolerance to environmental stresses. However, this genetic diversity is under threat. As traditional farming practices change and modern varieties replace land races, there's a risk of losing valuable genetic resources. This has led to increased efforts to conserve potato genetic diversity, both in gene banks and through in situ conservation programs that support farmers who continue to grow diverse potato land races. The genetic story of potato domestication and evolution is a testament to the power of human selection and the adaptability of plants. It's also a reminder of the importance of preserving genetic diversity for future food security and crop improvement. As we continue to study potato genetics, we're not just learning about the past, we're also gaining insights that could help shape the future of this crucial crop. 3. Cultural significance and traditional uses in the Andes. The potato is not just a food crop in the Andes, it's a cornerstone of culture, tradition, and identity. Recent research has illuminated the deep cultural significance of potatoes in their native region and the diverse ways in which Andean communities have utilized this versatile tuber over thousands of years. In many Andean communities, potatoes play a central role in daily life, cuisine, and spiritual practices. The cultivation, harvest, and preparation of potatoes are often accompanied by rituals and ceremonies that reflect the crop's importance. For example, some communities perform rituals to ensure a good potato harvest, including offerings to Pachamama, the Andean earth goddess. The diversity of potato varieties cultivated in the Andes is truly remarkable. In a single Andean village, farmers might grow dozens of different potato varieties, each with its own name, uses, and cultural significance. This diversity is not just about having different flavors or colors. It's a sophisticated agricultural strategy that helps ensure food security in the face of environmental challenges. Different potato varieties are adapted to different altitudes, soil types, and climatic conditions. By cultivating a diverse array of potatoes, Andean farmers can hedge their bets against unpredictable weather, pests, and diseases. If one variety fails, others may survive. This strategy, developed over thousands of years, demonstrates the deep ecological knowledge embedded in traditional Andean agriculture. The culinary uses of potatoes in the Andes are incredibly diverse. Beyond the familiar boiled, baked, or fried preparations, Andean communities have developed numerous innovative ways to prepare and preserve potatoes. One of the most fascinating is the production of chuño, a freeze-dried potato product that can be stored for years. To make chuño, potatoes are left outside to freeze overnight in the high-altitude Andean climate. During the day, people walk on the potatoes to remove the moisture. This process is repeated several times until the potatoes are completely dehydrated. The resulting product is light, easily transportable, and can be reconstituted for use in soups and stews. Chuño production is a perfect example of how Andean people have adapted to their challenging environment. In a region where fresh food can be scarce during certain times of the year, chuño provides a reliable food source that can be stored long-term without refrigeration. It was this innovation that allowed the Inca Empire to provision its armies and administrative centers across a vast territory. Another traditional use of potatoes in the Andes is in the production of traditional medicines. Various potato varieties are used in folk remedies for ailments ranging from stomach problems to skin conditions. Some varieties are even believed to have contraceptive properties. While many of these traditional uses haven't been scientifically verified, they demonstrate the multifaceted role of potatoes in Andean culture. Potatoes also play a significant role in Andean social and economic systems. In many communities, potato cultivation is a communal activity, with families and neighbors working together to plant, maintain, and harvest potato fields. The exchange of different potato varieties between farmers and communities is an important aspect of social relationships and helps maintain genetic diversity. In recent years, there has been growing recognition of the importance of traditional knowledge and practices in potato cultivation. Researchers are increasingly collaborating with Andean farmers to document traditional varieties and cultivation methods. This work not only helps preserve valuable genetic resources but also provides insights that could be useful for improving potato production in other parts of the world. One interesting area of research is the study of traditional pest and disease management practices. Andean farmers have developed sophisticated strategies for dealing with potato pests and diseases without relying on chemical inputs. These include crop rotation systems, intercropping with other plants, and the use of natural pesticides. Understanding these traditional practices could provide valuable insights for developing more sustainable potato production methods globally. The cultural significance of potatoes in the Andes extends beyond agriculture and cuisine. Potatoes feature prominently in Andean art, folklore, and language. In Quechua, the language of the Inca, there are hundreds of words related to potatoes, reflecting the crop's central place in Andean life. However, this rich potato culture is facing challenges in the modern era. Economic pressures, changing dietary habits, and the introduction of commercial potato varieties are threatening traditional potato diversity and associated knowledge. There are concerns that valuable potato varieties and cultural practices could be lost if efforts are not made to preserve them. In response to these challenges, there are various initiatives aimed at preserving and promoting Andean potato diversity and culture. These include seed-saving programs, cultural festivals celebrating potato diversity, and efforts to market traditional potato varieties as premium products. Some projects are even working to reintroduce lost potato varieties to communities by accessing seeds stored in gene banks. The story of potatoes in the Andes is a powerful reminder of the deep connections between agriculture, culture, and environment. It demonstrates how a single crop can shape the identity and way of life of entire societies. As we face global challenges like climate change and food security, the traditional knowledge and practices surrounding potato cultivation in the Andes may offer valuable lessons for creating resilient and sustainable food systems. 4. Global spread and impact of potatoes. The global journey of the potato is a fascinating chapter in human history, intertwining tales of exploration, colonization, agricultural innovation, and societal transformation. Recent research has provided new insights into how this Andean tuber became one of the world's most important food crops and its profound impact on global societies. The potato's journey out of South America began in the 16th century with the Spanish conquest of the Inca Empire. Spanish conquistadors, encountering potatoes for the first time, recognized their potential as a food source and brought them back to Europe. However, the initial reception of potatoes in Europe was far from enthusiastic. For many Europeans, potatoes were viewed with suspicion. They were not mentioned in the Bible, grew underground, associated with the realm of evil spirits in some beliefs, and belonged to the same family as the toxic nightshade. It took considerable time and effort to overcome these prejudices and establish the potato as a food crop in Europe. One interesting aspect of the potato's spread in Europe was the role played by various advocates and innovators. For example, the French pharmacist Antoine-Augustin Parmentier, who had survived as a prisoner of war by eating potatoes, became a passionate promoter of the crop in late 18th century France. He even arranged for King Louis XVI to wear a potato flower in his buttonhole, making potatoes fashionable among the aristocracy. The adoption of potatoes had profound impacts on European societies. In Ireland, for instance, the potato became the staple food of the rural poor, supporting a significant population increase in the 18th and early 19th centuries. The potato's high yield per acre and excellent nutritional value made it possible to support large families on small plots of land. However, this reliance on a single crop also set the stage for one of the most devastating famines in history. When a potato blight struck in the 1840s, it led to the Great Irish Potato Famine, resulting in the death or emigration of millions of Irish people. This tragedy highlights the potential risks of over-reliance on a single crop and has important lessons for modern agricultural practices and food security. The potato's global spread continued beyond Europe. It was introduced to North America by European settlers and quickly became an important crop. In the 19th century, potatoes played a crucial role in feeding the growing populations of industrializing nations. The ability to produce large amounts of calories on small plots of land made potatoes particularly valuable in urbanizing societies. In the 20th century, the potato became truly global. It was introduced to many parts of Asia and Africa, where it has become an increasingly important food crop. In some regions, such as the highlands of Central Africa, potatoes have become a staple food, playing a similar role to what they did in the Andes centuries ago. The global spread of potatoes has had significant impacts on agriculture, diets, and economies around the world. In many developing countries, potatoes have become an important cash crop, providing income for small-scale farmers. The adaptability of potatoes to different climates and growing conditions has made them a valuable crop in diverse environments. However, the global dominance of a few commercial potato varieties has also led to concerns about genetic uniformity and vulnerability to pests and diseases. The Irish potato famine serves as a stark reminder of the risks of relying on a narrow genetic base. This has led to increased efforts to conserve and utilize the genetic diversity of potato land races and wild relatives. The potato's global journey has also led to interesting cultural adaptations and culinary innovations. As potatoes spread around the world, they were incorporated into local cuisines in diverse ways. From French fries in Belgium to aloo gobi in India, potatoes have become an integral part of food cultures far from their Andean homeland. In recent years, there has been growing interest in the potential of potatoes to contribute to global food security. As a highly productive crop that can be grown in a wide range of environments, potatoes are seen as a potential tool for addressing hunger and malnutrition in many parts of the world. Research is ongoing to develop potato varieties with enhanced nutritional profiles, such as bio-fortified potatoes with higher levels of iron and zinc. The story of the potato's global spread is not just about the past, it's an ongoing process. New varieties of potatoes continue to be developed and introduced to different parts of the world. For example, efforts are underway to promote potato cultivation in sub-Saharan Africa as a means of improving food security and rural livelihoods. The global impact of potatoes extends beyond food. Potatoes are also an important industrial crop, used in the production of starch, alcohol, and other products. The development of new potato-based products, from biodegradable plastics to pharmaceuticals, is an active area of research and innovation. As we look to the future, the potato's role in global agriculture and food systems continues to evolve. Climate change presents new challenges and opportunities for potato cultivation. Research is ongoing to develop potato varieties that can withstand higher temperatures, drought, and other environmental stresses associated with climate change. The global journey of the potato is a remarkable testament to human ingenuity and adaptability. From its humble beginnings in the Andes to its current status as a global staple, the potato has played a crucial role in human history and continues to be a crop of immense importance for global food security. 5. Potato breeding and crop improvement. Potato breeding and crop improvement represent a fascinating intersection of traditional agricultural practices and cutting-edge scientific research. Recent advances in genetics, genomics, and biotechnology have opened up new possibilities for developing potato varieties with enhanced traits such as disease resistance, stress tolerance, and improved nutritional content. The history of potato breeding dates back to the early 19th century, when the first deliberate crosses between different potato varieties were made. However, potato breeding faces unique challenges due to the crop's genetic complexity. Most cultivated potatoes are tetraploid, meaning they have 4 sets of chromosomes, which complicates genetic analysis and breeding efforts. Despite these challenges, potato breeders have made significant progress over the years. One of the most important achievements has been the development of varieties resistant to late blight, the disease that caused the Irish potato famine. This work continues today, with researchers using both traditional breeding methods and modern genetic techniques to develop potatoes with durable resistance to this and other diseases. In recent years, there has been growing interest in developing potatoes with improved nutritional profiles. This includes efforts to increase levels of essential nutrients like iron and zinc, as well as to reduce levels of acrylamide, a potentially harmful compound that can form when potatoes are cooked at high temperatures. Some researchers are even exploring the possibility of developing potatoes with enhanced levels of vitamins and antioxidants. Another important area of potato breeding is the development of varieties adapted to different environmental conditions. This includes potatoes that can tolerate heat and drought, which is becoming increasingly important in the face of climate change. There's also interest in developing varieties that use water and nutrients more efficiently, which could help reduce the environmental impact of potato cultivation. One of the most exciting developments in potato breeding is the use of molecular markers and genomic selection. These techniques allow breeders to identify desirable traits at the genetic level, potentially speeding up the breeding process. For example, researchers can now use DNA markers to screen for disease resistance genes, allowing them to select promising breeding lines without having to expose plants to the actual pathogens. Biotechnology is also playing an increasing role in potato improvement. While genetically modified potatoes have faced regulatory hurdles and public resistance in many parts of the world, they offer potential benefits such as improved disease resistance and enhanced nutritional content. For example, researchers have developed potatoes with resistance to the Colorado potato beetle, a major pest, by introducing a gene from a soil bacterium. More recently, gene editing techniques like CRISPR-Cas9 have opened up new possibilities for potato improvement. These techniques allow researchers to make precise changes to potato DNA without introducing foreign genes. This could potentially lead to the development of new potato varieties with improved traits that might be more acceptable to consumers wary of traditional genetic modification. However, it's important to note that modern breeding efforts aren't just about creating new varieties. They're also about preserving and utilizing the genetic diversity of potato land races and wild relatives. Many breeding programs maintain extensive collections of potato germplasm, which serve as a valuable resource for introducing new traits into cultivated potatoes. There's also growing interest in participatory breeding approaches, where farmers are actively involved in the breeding process. This can help ensure that new varieties meet the needs of farmers and are adapted to local conditions. It also helps preserve traditional knowledge about potato cultivation and use. One fascinating area of potato breeding research is the development of true potato seed (TPS) varieties. Most potatoes are propagated vegetatively, using seed potatoes, which can be expensive and prone to accumulating diseases. TPS varieties, which can be grown from botanical seeds, could potentially reduce costs and improve disease management, particularly in developing countries. Another interesting development is the renewed interest in diploid potato breeding. While most cultivated potatoes are tetraploid, some researchers are focusing on diploid potatoes, which are easier to breed and analyze genetically. This could potentially lead to more rapid development of new varieties with desirable traits. Potato breeding is also increasingly taking into account the needs of the processing industry. This includes developing varieties with specific traits for French fries, chips, or other processed products. For example, breeders are working on potatoes with lower sugar content, which can help reduce browning during frying. As we look to the future, potato breeding will likely play a crucial role in addressing global challenges such as food security and climate change. The development of more resilient, nutritious, and productive potato varieties could help ensure that this important crop continues to feed people around the world. However, it will be important to balance the drive for improvement with the need to preserve genetic diversity and cultural heritage associated with traditional potato varieties. 6. Conservation of potato genetic resources. The conservation of potato genetic resources is a critical endeavor that intersects with issues of biodiversity, food security, and cultural heritage. Recent research has highlighted the importance of preserving the vast genetic diversity found in potato land races and wild relatives, as well as the challenges and strategies involved in this conservation effort. Potato genetic resources represent a valuable reservoir of traits that could be crucial for future crop improvement. This includes genes for disease resistance, stress tolerance, and nutritional quality. Wild potato species, in particular, often possess traits that could be valuable for breeding programs, such as resistance to pests and diseases that affect cultivated potatoes. However, this genetic diversity is under threat. The widespread adoption of a limited number of commercial potato varieties has led to genetic erosion, with many traditional landraces being abandoned. Climate change, habitat destruction, and changes in land use are also threatening wild potato populations in their native habitats. Conservation efforts for potato genetic resources take two main forms: ex situ conservation, where samples are preserved in gene banks, and in situ conservation, where diverse potato populations are maintained in their natural or traditional agricultural environments. Ex situ conservation involves collecting and storing potato samples in gene banks. These collections serve as a backup, preserving genetic diversity that might otherwise be lost. Some of the world's largest potato gene banks, such as the one at the International Potato Center in Peru, maintain thousands of accessions of cultivated potatoes, landraces, and wild relatives. Gene banks use various methods to preserve potato genetic resources. This includes storing tubers, which need to be regularly replanted, as well as preserving tissue cultures and seeds. More recently, cryopreservation techniques have been developed, allowing potato genetic material to be stored at ultra-low temperatures for long periods. While ex situ conservation is crucial, it has limitations. Gene bank collections can't capture the full range of diversity present in the field, and stored material may not continue to adapt to changing environmental conditions. There's also the risk of losing valuable associated knowledge about the cultivation and use of different potato varieties. This is where in situ conservation becomes important. In situ conservation involves maintaining diverse potato populations in their natural habitats or traditional farming systems. This allows potato populations to continue evolving and adapting to changing conditions. In the Andes, where potato diversity is highest, there are various initiatives aimed at supporting farmers who continue to grow diverse potato land races. These efforts often combine conservation goals with rural development objectives, recognizing that maintaining crop diversity is closely linked to cultural practices and local livelihoods. One interesting approach to in situ conservation is the concept of evolutionary breeding. This involves growing diverse mixtures of potato varieties and allowing natural selection to act on them. Over time, this can lead to the development of populations that are well adapted to local conditions and potentially more resilient to environmental changes. Recent research has also highlighted the importance of conserving potato wild relatives in their natural habitats. These plants, which are found in diverse environments across the Americas, represent a vast pool of potentially useful genetic diversity. However, many wild potato species are threatened by habitat loss and climate change. Efforts to conserve wild potatoes involve identifying priority species and populations, establishing protected areas, and in some cases, collecting samples for ex situ conservation. There's also growing interest in reintroducing wild potato species to areas where they've been lost, a process known as species recovery. One of the challenges in potato conservation is the sheer scale of diversity involved. With thousands of potato varieties and dozens of wild species, it's a huge task to comprehensively conserve potato genetic resources. This has led to efforts to develop more efficient conservation strategies, such as core collections that aim to capture maximum diversity with minimum redundancy. Another important aspect of potato conservation is the characterization and evaluation of genetic resources. This involves studying the traits and genetic makeup of different potato varieties and wild relatives. Advanced genomic tools are increasingly being used for this purpose, allowing researchers to identify valuable traits and understand the genetic basis of important characteristics. The conservation of potato genetic resources is not just about preserving biodiversity, it's also about maintaining options for the future. In the face of challenges like climate change and evolving pest and disease pressures, the genetic diversity found in potato land races and wild relatives could be crucial for developing resilient and productive potato varieties. Moreover, potato conservation efforts intersect with broader issues of food sovereignty and cultural preservation. For many communities in the Andes and elsewhere, diverse potato varieties are an important part of cultural identity and traditional knowledge systems. Preserving this diversity is thus not just about conserving genes, but also about maintaining cultural heritage and traditional agricultural practices. Looking to the future, there's growing interest in developing more integrated approaches to potato conservation that combine ex situ and in situ methods. This includes efforts to make gene bank collections more accessible and useful to farmers and breeders, as well as initiatives to support on-farm conservation of diverse potato varieties. There's also increasing recognition of the need for international cooperation in potato conservation. Given that potato genetic resources are spread across multiple countries, effective conservation requires collaboration and information sharing on a global scale. As we continue to unravel the genetic complexity of potatoes and face global challenges like climate change and food security, the conservation of potato genetic resources remains a critical priority. It's a field that combines cutting-edge science with traditional knowledge, and its success will be crucial for the future of this important global crop. 7. Potatoes and food security. The role of potatoes in global food security is a topic of increasing interest and importance in agricultural research. As the world grapples with challenges such as population growth, climate change, and resource scarcity, potatoes are being recognized for their potential to contribute to sustainable and resilient food systems. Potatoes have several characteristics that make them particularly valuable for food security. They are highly productive, capable of yielding more food per unit of water than any other major crop. They are also nutritionally dense, providing a good source of carbohydrates, vitamin C, potassium, and other essential nutrients. Moreover, potatoes can be grown in a wide range of environments, from sea level to high altitudes, and in various climate conditions. Recent research has focused on understanding and enhancing the potential of potatoes to contribute to food security in different parts of the world. In many developing countries, potatoes are seen as a valuable crop for smallholder farmers, providing both food for household consumption and income through market sales. One area of research is the development of potato varieties adapted to specific environmental challenges. This includes breeding for traits such as drought tolerance, heat resistance, and efficient use of nutrients. Such varieties could help expand potato production into areas where it's currently limited by environmental constraints. For example, researchers are working on developing potato varieties that can tolerate higher temperatures, which is becoming increasingly important as global temperatures rise due to climate change. This could potentially allow potato cultivation to expand in tropical and subtropical regions, where heat stress is a major limiting factor. Another important aspect of potato food security research is improving the nutritional quality of potatoes. This includes efforts to increase levels of essential nutrients like iron and zinc through biofortification. Some researchers are also exploring ways to enhance the protein content of potatoes, which could make them an even more valuable food source in areas where animal protein is scarce or expensive. The potential of potatoes to contribute to food security extends beyond their direct consumption as food. Potatoes are also an important source of starch for industrial uses, and there's growing interest in developing potato varieties specifically for non-food applications. This could potentially free up other crops for food use, indirectly contributing to food security. Research is also focusing on improving potato storage and processing technologies. In many parts of the world, significant amounts of potatoes are lost after harvest due to inadequate storage facilities or lack of processing options. Developing better storage methods and promoting value-added processing could help reduce these losses and improve the overall contribution of potatoes to food security. One interesting area of research is the development of potato varieties with extended dormancy. Most potato varieties start to sprout after a few months in storage, which can lead to significant losses. Varieties with longer dormancy could potentially be stored for longer periods, helping to even out supply and improve food security. The role of potatoes in climate change adaptation is another important area of research. As climate patterns shift, potatoes could potentially play a role in diversifying agricultural systems and providing a resilient crop option. Some researchers are exploring how potato cultivation could be integrated into climate-smart agriculture strategies. However, it's important to note that the relationship between potatoes and food security is complex. While potatoes can contribute significantly to food availability, issues of access, utilization, and stability, the other dimensions of food security, also need to be considered. Research is therefore also focusing on socioeconomic aspects of potato production and consumption, including market systems, gender dynamics, and policy frameworks. One interesting development in potato food security research is the growing interest in neglected and underutilized species. This includes Andean root and tuber crops related to potatoes, such as OCA, Uyuco, and Mashua. These crops, which have been cultivated for thousands of years in the Andes, could potentially contribute to diversifying food systems and improving nutritional security. Another important aspect of potato food security research is the development of sustainable production practices. This includes work on integrated pest management, soil conservation, and efficient use of inputs. Such practices can help ensure that potato production contributes to food security without degrading natural resources or contributing excessively to environmental problems like soil erosion or water pollution. The potential of potatoes to contribute to urban food security is also gaining attention. As more of the world's population lives in cities, there's growing interest in urban and peri-urban agriculture. Potatoes, with their high productivity and adaptability, could potentially play an important role in such systems. As we look to the future, the role of potatoes in global food security is likely to become increasingly important. With their productivity, adaptability, and nutritional value, potatoes have the potential to contribute significantly to feeding a growing global population in the face of climate change and other challenges. However, realizing this potential will require continued research and innovation, as well as supportive policies and investment in potato production and utilization. 8. Modern research on potato domestication. Recent years have seen a surge of interest in understanding the process of potato domestication, driven by advances in genomics, archaeology, and other fields. This research is not only shedding light on the origins and evolution of one of the world's most important crops, but also providing insights that could be valuable for future crop improvement efforts. One of the most exciting developments in potato domestication research has been the application of advanced genomic techniques. By sequencing the genomes of diverse potato varieties and wild relatives, researchers have been able to trace the genetic changes that occurred during domestication with unprecedented detail. These studies have revealed a complex picture of potato domestication. Rather than a single, straightforward process, it appears that potato domestication involved multiple events and interactions between different potato species. For example, research has shown that cultivated potatoes contain genetic material from several wild species, suggesting a history of hybridization and introgression. Genomic studies have also identified specific genes that were likely targets of selection during domestication. These include genes involved in tuber formation, dormancy, and glycoalkaloid content. Understanding these genetic changes can provide valuable insights for modern breeding efforts aimed at improving potato varieties. Another important area of modern potato domestication research is the use of archaeological techniques to study ancient potato remains. Advances in methods for analyzing plant microfossils, such as starch grains and phytoliths, have allowed researchers to identify potato remains in archaeological sites dating back thousands of years. These archaeological studies are providing new insights into the timing and geography of potato domestication. For example, recent research has pushed back the earliest evidence of potato cultivation in the Andes to around 10,000 years ago. This work is helping to refine our understanding of how and when potatoes became a crucial part of Andean agriculture and diet. Interdisciplinary approaches combining genomics and archaeology are proving particularly fruitful. For instance, researchers have been able to analyze ancient DNA from archaeological potato remains, providing direct evidence of the genetic makeup of ancient potato varieties. This kind of research can offer unique insights into how potato genetics have changed over time and how ancient varieties compare to modern ones. One fascinating area of modern potato domestication research is the study of de novo domestication. This involves using genomic information and gene editing techniques to recreate the domestication process in wild potato species. The goal is to develop new cultivated potatoes with unique traits, potentially expanding the genetic base of cultivated potatoes and introducing valuable characteristics from wild species. Researchers are also exploring the concept of rewilding potatoes. This involves crossing cultivated potatoes with their wild relatives to introduce greater genetic diversity and potentially valuable traits. While this approach has challenges, such as the need to eliminate undesirable wild traits, it offers the potential to create new potato varieties with enhanced resilience and adaptability. Another important aspect of modern potato domestication research is the study of how human cultural practices have shaped potato evolution. This includes investigating how traditional farming practices in the Andes have contributed to maintaining and enhancing potato diversity. Understanding these processes can provide valuable insights for conservation efforts and sustainable agriculture. Recent research has also focused on understanding the domestication of specific traits in potatoes. For example, studies have investigated the genetic basis of tuber shape, size, and color, as well as important physiological traits like photoperiod response and frost tolerance. This work is not only illuminating the history of potato domestication but also providing valuable information for breeding programs. One particularly interesting area of research is the study of how domestication has affected the potato's interaction with beneficial microorganisms. Some studies suggest that domestication may have altered the potato's ability to form symbiotic relationships with certain soil microbes. Understanding these changes could potentially lead to strategies for enhancing potato growth and resilience through microbial interventions. Modern potato domestication research is also shedding light on the crop's future potential. By understanding how potatoes adapted to different environments during their evolutionary history, researchers can gain insights into how the crop might respond to future challenges like climate change. This information can inform breeding strategies aimed at developing resilient potato varieties for a changing world. The globalization of potato cultivation has added another interesting dimension to domestication research. Studies are examining how potatoes have continued to evolve and adapt as they spread to new environments around the world. This ongoing process of adaptation could be seen as a continuation of the domestication process, offering valuable lessons for crop improvement efforts. Advances in bioinformatics and data analysis techniques are playing a crucial role in modern potato domestication research. These tools allow researchers to analyze vast amounts of genetic data, identify patterns, and make connections that wouldn't have been possible just a few years ago. For example, machine learning algorithms are being used to predict valuable traits in wild potato species based on their genetic makeup. Another exciting development is the use of population genomics to study potato domestication. By analyzing genetic variation across large numbers of potato varieties and wild relatives, researchers can reconstruct the demographic history of potato populations and identify genomic regions that have been under selection during domestication. The study of epigenetics is also providing new insights into potato domestication. Epigenetic changes, modifications to DNA that affect gene expression without changing the underlying genetic sequence, may have played an important role in potato adaptation and domestication. Understanding these processes could open up new avenues for crop improvement. As we look to the future, potato domestication research is likely to become increasingly important. With global challenges like climate change and food security looming, the insights gained from studying potato domestication could be crucial for developing resilient and productive potato varieties. This research not only helps us understand our past but also holds the key to securing the future of this vital global crop. Key takeaways and broader implications. As we wrap up our exploration of recent research on potato domestication, it's clear that this field is rich with insights that extend far beyond the humble spud. The story of potato domestication touches on fundamental questions about human-plant interactions, the development of agriculture, and the future of our food systems. One of the key takeaways from this research is the incredible complexity of the domestication process. Far from being a simple, linear progression from wild to cultivated, potato domestication involved multiple events, interactions between different species, and ongoing adaptation to diverse environments. This complexity mirrors what we're learning about the domestication of other crops and highlights the sophisticated ways in which early farmers shaped the plants they cultivated. Another important insight is the crucial role of genetic diversity in crop evolution and improvement. The vast diversity found in potato landraces and wild relatives represents a valuable resource for addressing current and future challenges in potato cultivation. This underscores the importance of conservation efforts, both in gene banks and in situ, to preserve this diversity for future generations. The research we've explored also highlights the intricate relationships between crops, human cultures, and environments. The potato's journey from a wild plant in the Andes to a global staple food has been shaped by a complex interplay of biological, cultural, and environmental factors. Understanding these relationships can provide valuable insights for developing sustainable and resilient food systems in the face of global challenges like climate change. The advances in genomic technologies that have driven much of the recent research in potato domestication have broader implications for crop science and plant breeding. These tools are revolutionizing our ability to understand plant genetics and evolution, opening up new possibilities for crop improvement across a wide range of species. Moreover, the interdisciplinary nature of modern potato domestication research, combining genomics, archaeology, ethnobotany, and other fields, serves as a model for how complex questions in crop evolution and improvement can be addressed. This holistic approach, considering both biological and cultural factors, is likely to become increasingly important in addressing global agricultural challenges. The research we've discussed also has important implications for food security and sustainable agriculture. The insights gained from studying potato domestication and diversity can inform strategies for developing resilient, productive, and nutritious crop varieties. This is particularly crucial as we face the challenges of feeding a growing global population in the context of climate change and environmental degradation. Looking forward, the field of potato domestication research continues to evolve, with new questions emerging and new technologies offering novel ways to explore the potato's past and future. From de novo domestication to epigenetics, these cutting-edge approaches promise to deepen our understanding of this important crop and potentially unlock new avenues for improvement. As we conclude, it's worth reflecting on how this research connects to broader themes in science and society. The story of potato domestication is, in many ways, a story of human ingenuity and adaptability. It shows how our ancestors were able to transform a toxic wild plant into a nutritious staple food, and how this crop has continued to evolve and adapt as it spread around the world. At the same time, this research reminds us of our deep connections to the plants we cultivate. The potato, like other crops, has been shaped by human needs and preferences over thousands of years. In turn, it has shaped human societies, influencing everything from population growth to cultural practices. Finally, the study of potato domestication underscores the importance of biodiversity and traditional knowledge in our food systems. As we face global challenges like climate change and food security, the lessons learned from studying crop domestication and diversity could be crucial for developing resilient and sustainable agricultural practices. We encourage you, our viewers, to continue exploring these fascinating topics. Whether you're a scientist, a student, or simply someone curious about the foods we eat, there's always more to learn about the complex and fascinating world of crop domestication and evolution. We'd love to hear your thoughts and questions about this topic. What aspects of potato domestication research do you find most intriguing? How do you think this kind of research might impact our food systems in the future? Please share your ideas in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest content. And if there are other topics in crop science or food history that you'd like us to cover, let us know in the comments. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the fascinating world of potato domestication research. Remember, every time you eat a potato, you're tasting the result of thousands of years of human innovation and natural evolution. It's a delicious reminder of the complex stories behind our everyday foods.